If your podcast growth has flatlined, it's not your content, it's the platforms. And I'm going to prove it. The platforms have changed. And today, I want to tell you what I've learned from the last 18 months of podcasting. What's not working anymore, what is working right now in 2026 to actually grow a show. Because the answer isn't just work harder. So let's get into it. Now, let's talk about podcasting and more particularly about what's working and what's not working. You may or may not be aware that Jenna Kutcher announced that she's stopping her show Gold Digger. Now, I don't follow Jenna super closely, but I think it's a big deal that she's announcing she's stopping the show because she does have a very big show that is always trending and that shows up in the top 10 shows constantly. Even here in Australia, it shows up locally as one of the top 10 shows. And I'm not here to unpack her thinking or her reasoning because, like I say, I don't follow her closely. I don't know her. I don't have a relationship with her. It's not like with Amy Porterfield where I can say, at least I know the girl and I know her values and I know her motives, like what we talked about last week with Amy canceling Digital Course Academy. With Jenna, I have no clue. So I have no opinion. I'm like, all the power to you, girl. You want to stop your podcast? You go for it. You want to take a break? You do it. She certainly can retire and does not need to work a day in her life ever again. So you want to do that? More power to you. But in the last year, I definitely had a lot of conversations with my mentoring students and with some of my clients who almost all of them have podcasts. And the conversations we had were about the challenges they've been facing with their podcasts in the last year. So I thought it's appropriate to talk about it today. And in last week's episode, I asked you all to email me and tell me what you're experiencing with your podcast. And I loved reading your message. So many of you said that you've been meaning to start a podcast, but now you're not quite sure if 2026 is the right time right now to do it. I feel you. And I'm here to help you know exactly what's working if you already have a show in 2026. And if you're thinking about starting one, then today's episode will help you start strong so that you can build momentum fast. Over the last 18 months, here's what I've noticed. Podcast algorithms are no longer pushing shows to new listeners as much as they used to. Back in the day, you could publish consistently and you'll get a steady stream of new people finding you all the time. Now, it feels like the platforms reward volume. And in 2025, especially, it looked like the algorithm really wanted volume, more publishing, more output, more downloads. And that pushed a lot of creators into one of just three options. Option 1, work harder and create more. Option 2, use AI, reduce quality, but produce more. And option 3, republish older content or create best of episodes or clip and repurpose old episodes to keep feeding the machine. I don't know if you are a listener or if you watch some of the videos of the Diary of the CEO podcast, but if you listen to that podcast, you will probably see that this one and some of the other big shows have started publishing best of episodes. So between their new episodes, they would publish another episode or two, call it the best of a certain topic. And then they might combine different people's takes on a specific topic in that episode, or they might just replay a fairly long clip. I mean, the episodes are usually about 2 hours long. So you could cut out a proper 15-minute best of, I'll call it a soundbite, but I don't think 15 minutes is really a soundbite. But from a 2-hour show, it could be. So you might have noticed some of the big shows doing this. Diary of a CEO publishes these best of episodes. Amy Porterfield moved to twice a week, publishing new shows back when she still had the Online Marketing Made Easy show before she rebranded that as the Amy Porterfield show. And that's not random. You've got to know these people have access to the best data and analytics and the best advisors. So it's not random when they do these things. It's a response to how the platforms reward volume and momentum. But let's talk about the truth about volume. Now, I want to clarify something really important. I don't actually think the algorithm is obsessed with the number of episodes you publish. I think what it wants is volume in weekly downloads or volume in daily downloads. It wants momentum. And here's the problem. The easiest way to increase weekly downloads is to publish another episode. I did it because most of the time it's going to be the same people, those loyal listeners who listen to the first episode you publish in a week, and then they listen to your next episode, your second episode. So your downloads double, but your reach doesn't necessarily go up. You get more numbers, but you don't get new people. More episodes can double your downloads without adding a single new listener. And that's the difference. More content can give you more downloads, but not automatically more discovery. So let me tell you what happened with me. When I quit podcasting in 2021 after doing 179 episodes, or let's say I went on a break, we were on a break. My audience went cold night. My audience did a full Ross on me. And I started getting emails like, when is the podcast coming back? By mid-2024, I realized that my audience have been getting colder and colder and colder and smaller and smaller and smaller. And my launches were getting smaller and smaller. And I realized that I have to bring the podcast back because I removed the biggest source of trust between myself and my audience. And once I brought the show back mid-2024, I cannot tell you how many people messaged me saying, I used to listen to every single episode. I'm so happy it's back. I missed you. I had no idea that my podcast had that kind of impact. And that's the thing. A podcast builds intimacy like nothing else. It's not just content. It's a relationship. It's someone in your ears while you drive, while you walk, while you clean the kitchen, while you live your life. It's personal. Just look at what you're doing right now while you're listening to me. But here's what worked and what didn't. So when I relaunched, I followed the pattern that I was seeing work. I did daily episodes for the first month to get it all up and running again. And then I moved to twice a week episodes. And it worked really, really well for rebuilding my warm relationships with you and with the other listeners again. It helped restore the bond. It helped bring my people back, but it didn't work the way I expected. It didn't help me reach new listeners. And that's the key point of this episode. More episodes helped me go deeper with my people, but it didn't help me go wider. Here's the best way I have found to get new listeners for a podcast. Wait for it. I know you're going to be super shocked when you hear me say this. Wink, wink, I'm being sarcastic. The only way, the best way to grow your podcast listenership is list building. I build my email list. Every show we publish, I email my list about that show. And my listenership grows as my list grows. This is also what I see with my clients and with my students. People tell me, my show used to bring in new listeners. It used to rank really high, but it doesn't rank anymore. It used to feel easier, and now I'm working twice as hard for the same result. And how? It's harder. And for some people, their income has suffered because of it, because they need this downloads every single week to be able to sell their courses. And I get it, because when your podcast was your main discovery engine and that slows down, you're going to feel it in your bottom line. So know this. And I say this with love. If your podcast is your only growth plan, you don't have a growth plan. You need an email list to grow. So this is the biggest takeaway for you today. The most important thing I want you to know, your podcast will grow when your email list grows. A podcast builds intimacy. An email list gives that intimacy momentum. When I was researching for this episode, I looked at what all the big podcasters like Pat Flynn and his friends were saying. And I looked at what the platforms were recommending. What's Apple saying? What's Spotify saying? And I even looked at the guys at Podfest to see what they're saying. I asked Claude to summarize for me what Podcasting Communities is saying is working. And the one thing that stood out above everything else, you have to use other platforms to grow your show, especially platforms where you own your audience, like your email list. So that means you build your list, you email your list about your episode, and do it on the same day the show comes out. That's the most consistent growth lever I have seen. But there are some other things also working in 2026, and you're already probably on top of these. Here are some other strategies that are working. 1, record your show on video first. 2, create some short clips that you can post on Instagram, on TikTok, or on YouTube Shorts. But here's the catch. You still need a great caption that makes it easy for someone to find your show from that clip. Watching a clip is one thing. Taking action to go and find the show and listen to the episode is a whole nother thing. So don't assume they'll figure it out. Say it clearly. Go find the Launch Lounge at this link. DM 388 to get the link to this episode. Find the link to this episode in our bio. Whatever your method is, make it simple. And number 3, post the long form video of your episode on YouTube. This is something we're doing more of this year. In the past, we published to YouTube in audio format. Automatically, it just posts there. We'd update the caption a little bit, just make sure it's right for YouTube, but the audio just goes out. But in 2026, we're leaning into video. And honestly, I can kick myself that I stopped posting regularly on YouTube back in 2018. Once my business took off, I told myself, I don't have time for video. It felt like I was playing when I had clients who needed me to do actual work. And now I'm like, Salome, that was a moment. Because YouTube is one of the best search engines on the internet. Your content lives there longer, and your episodes have a much better chance of being discovered even years after you post them. In 2026, it's all about the video for me. I'm playing with video and getting back in the game. And here's another big trend I'm seeing in 2026. Community. As social media shifts away from community and becomes less and less, social, and moves more towards entertainment and sound bites, I believe community will become a key part of growing podcasts. Because social media is a town square. Everybody's yelling, everybody's performing, everybody's fighting for attention. But podcasting is like being invited into someone's living room. It's private, it's intimate, it's comfortable. It can be less polished, which means it's more real. And in a world where everything is AI, people are craving something human. So here's your secret weapon. And this is my final point. I want you to check that on your podcast, you keep it real. Podcasts are not for perfection. They're for your faults, your vulnerabilities, your mistakes, your lessons, your guard down. Create content that is a little bit less scripted, a little bit less polished, more conversational. more two-way, because that's how people trust you. And that's how they know you're real. And that's how your show becomes a two-way street, a relationship, not just more content getting pushed out. So if you take anything from this episode, take this. Your podcast will grow when your email list grows. Use other platforms to grow your show. Build your list. Email your list about your episodes on the day that the episode drops. Make it personal, make it intimate, build a community from your listeners. And on that note, if you have a podcast and you plan to implement any of these changes in your show this year, or you're thinking about starting a new podcast, email me, podcast@thelaunchlounge.com. I want to hear from you. Tell me which of these strategies you'll be implementing this year. Or tell me what your show is about and what's really working for you to grow your show right now. And if you enjoyed this episode, please hit the follow button. It helps more than you know. All right. I have something very special planned for you for the next few weeks. I want to create a series of episodes all about growing and scaling. Growing your live launches, scaling your live launches, selling more, turning your launch into an evergreen funnel, growing your business, hiring team members, everything you want to know about growing and scaling a business that impacts other people's lives with courses, coaching, membership, or consulting. I have a few ideas for what I want to share with you, but it matters to me that I hear from you first. So I want you to email me, podcast@thelaunchlounge, and tell me what's one thing that you are dying to know the answer to. One thing you want to see behind the curtains in a business that's bigger than yours. Or you want to learn how other people are doing it so that you can grow and scale your live launches, your evergreen funnels, and your business. I'll give you a few examples of topics I think we can cover, and then based on your emails, I'll create what you want to hear. So here's my list of potential topics, but I want to hear from you. How do I transform from live to evergreen? Is a course, a group program, a membership, or a hybrid the best business model if I want to scale? How do I price my course or my coaching so that I can scale without needing hundreds of clients or without doing just one-on-one? How do I grow from 5 figures to 6 figures? Or how do I grow from 6 figures to 7 figures? How do I scale when my list is burnt out? How much budget will I need if I want to scale using paid ads? What are the numbers that will tell me I'm ready to scale? How do I scale without burning out? I'm already doing everything and I don't have time to teach someone else. And finally, how do I make the voice in my head go away that tells me, who am I to be successful at this? That is the list of topics I came up with when I was brainstorming about this series. But I want to know what you want us to talk about. So email me your questions about growing and scaling your live launch, your evergreen funnel, or your business. And we'll cover it in a new series we're going to start next week, all about growing and scaling. Thank you so much for listening. I'll be here with our first episode in the series about growing and scaling next week. Have a wonderful week. I'll talk to you then. Bye.